What's going on, y'all? This is David, and I got
Whitney.
Whitney. So what's going on? Just doing some prayer and obviously reading the Word, and wanted to talk about it with y'all. James 1. And honestly, this is a pretty interesting verse, pretty interesting chapter. What do you think about what James is talking about in this chapter, babe?
I think he's talking about something that's definitely not easy. I mean, I'm the type of person that um, when you get into a trial, it's kind of like your brain forgets how to function. And I feel like it's really hard to, endure. Or it's just really hard. So people read this chapter all the time. They're like, oh, like, you need to be steadfast when you're going through a trial. And, a trial teaches you things. But to be honest, like, ask yourself, have you been acting that way through the trial?
No, I mean, I think this is the best part. I mean, in James 1:19 it says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." Verse 20, "For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." Verse 21, "Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls." One more time. "Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls." I listened to this podcaster say, "Who are you listening to, by the way?" I
What do
was
you mean?
getting, huh?
What do you mean?
The podcast you had on TV
When was that?
late night.
I have no idea. I had fell
Okay.
asleep and my phone was just playing.
All right. I really wish I could give you credit, but I feel like they were talking about this a lot, about grace, and not only that, but just saving our souls. And this guy, he quoted somebody else who was an atheist, who was basically saying that, like, if you search for something finite or something that's not infinite in this world, it will eat up your soul alive. Like, it's going to eat you up until there's nothing left. Later on, they talk about how, like, I think within that same week of him saying that, he committed suicide, and it was a complete atheist. And I think that what James is talking about is so true, that even though we are Christians, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are following God with everything we have. Christians, in the very sense of the word, means you are followers of Christ. Now, how much are you following Christ? Are you worshiping Him? Like, not just hands up on Sunday, but with everything you have.
I feel like it kind of goes along with like what we talk about. Well, what our dance ministry talks about. We talk about a lot being holy. We can't be 100% holy because we're not God, but we can strive to be, and He calls us to be set apart or be holy. And I think in the verse that you said, it said, put away all filthiness. So, like, we take in a lot of filthiness throughout our day, whether it's like what we hear people say, what we see on TV, the music we're listening to. And it's just like God is saying, okay, like, hey, put away all filthiness so um, you can have the implanted word. Like, when you have something that's planted, it's rooted, it's taking root in you. And I feel like sometimes a lot of things get in the way of the word getting through to us like deep. So I don't know, it's being set apart is hard, and being holy is hard, but it's there's such a this what's that word, there's such a satisfaction when you've consecrated yourself, and then you're going to read your word, and it's just like things just stand out to you more. You see things that you didn't notice before. God's revealing things that and you're looking at verses and you're like, wow, I've never thought of that. Like a thought would come into your mind like, holy crap. But well, hold up, somebody. But I just feel like it's hard, but there's so much benefit to being consecrated, to being set apart, and um, the benefits outlast And I feel like I was listening to someone, I think it was Francis Chan. I'm not sure. It was this preacher. But I was just like, you know what, like when we think about the world and we think about the life we're living, some of us don't want to live set apart or holy because we're thinking about all the things we can do within this short span of time, not realizing that eternity is way longer than this little blip that we're living that we call our life.
Hmm.
So it's just like we let our lives that we're living right now outweigh eternity or what
Mm.
we're living for. So I'm like, wow, when I listen, I'm like, he's absolutely right. Like you go out through the day and you're just like, okay, like how can I make my life better? Whenever thinking, okay, like I have an eternity to look forward to. Like how am I
Mm.
preparing for that?
Mm.
So yeah, that just blew my mind.
And also, when it comes to this chapter, two other things is verse 17. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. New International Version. And one thing I like about that is when it comes to our gift and God's grace and salvation, because that is first and foremost the most important gift that God has given us, the free gift that does not change, that does not bend like the cultures, that does not bend like, what is important, like what most people consider important today will not be important tomorrow. I remember once there was a time to where even when it comes to female attraction, that skinny girls were in, that girls with no makeup were in, and now it's completely different. Now we embrace diversity, we embrace different shapes and sizes.
Mhm.
There's different colors embraced, there's different people for different things, dating apps, X, Y, and Z. You have to believe this to be a good person today, and everything that you believe in today did not define a good person in 1998, or honestly in 1970, or in 1950. And I think this is really key because he does not change like shifting shadows or the shifting sands. Our salvation is rooted. You know what I'm saying? There's no shadow, there's no blemish when it comes to our salvation. There's nothing that can dampen it. It's something that we all have, and the grace that God has given us is truth, ironed out.